Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Wed Society Learn episode focused on copywriting. I'm Ashley Murphy, one of the co-founders of Wed Society, an online and social community formed to support creative entrepreneurs. For many of us, it's a challenge to write about ourselves and sometimes even talk about ourselves and our business in a way that will resonate with our audience. We're our own worst critic and can hit roadblocks when trying to communicate in a concise way the value of what we do. Today, we'll be talking to Taylor Griffith, owner and CEO of LT Editorial. That's lteditorial.com and at LT Editorial on Instagram. Taylor specializes in writing copy for wedding vendor websites and truly believes that the right words can bring your brand to life. Taylor, thanks so much for being here today and sharing your knowledge with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's dive right in. Copywriting. So for a lot of this is a daunting task. We're creatives, but we're not creative at writing necessarily. So it can feel very challenging. It's really hard to write about yourself in an honest way. So tell us why the way we're communicating who we are online is so important.
Yeah, you're totally right, Ashley. And I say this all the time, like it is so hard to write about yourself, even me, and I'm a writer, and this is, I have a journalism degree, like my background is in writing. Obviously that's what I do for my clients, and it's truly hard to do. So first of all, don't feel bad, anybody watching who feels like it's hard. Your website is your number one sales tool. And so I always like to tell people, it's like, imagine yourself when you're in like business boss mode, whether that's at a cocktail party or in a one-on-one meeting with somebody, and you just feel like super confident, super with it, ready to sell your services, book a client. That is what your website needs to be. And thankfully it can be all the time because it's written static, it's out there. And so it's really important to have an awesome website that's putting your best foot forward, helping people understand what you do, speak in your voice. You have to work, every business owner, myself included, there's sort of two halves of your business. You work in your business, you're baking cakes, sewing dresses, arranging flowers. That's the in your business part. And then you have to work on your business. That's the bookkeeping, the setting up your website, sending a contract. You need to have both of those things. And most of us get started as a business owner because we want to work in our business. You want to do the creative thing that you love to do. But working for yourself, you also have the on your business part. And so right now during the coronavirus scare, but really in any lean time in your business when you're not packed to the gills with couples that are hiring you, now is a great time to be working on your business. And so making sure, are your processes in place? Is your website speaking to your audience the best way that it can, getting your vision across? Is your bookkeeping, in line? All of those things. So now is a great time to be working on that.
Well, we certainly all have time right now to be working on our business. What would you say are some of the biggest or most common copywriting mistakes that you see on other creative wedding vendor websites?
Yeah, so a lot of times I see people selling their industry instead of selling themselves. So for example, if you're a wedding planner, and I go to your website, a lot of times on the homepage or throughout the site, somebody is saying, wedding planners will save you time, they'll save you money. And that's true. And it's not that you don't want to say that, but if I've got to your website, I have already decided that I want a wedding planner for my wedding day. So I don't need you to sell me anymore on why it's valuable to have a wedding planner. I need you to sell me on why I should hire you, Ashley, the wedding planner, and not Taylor, the wedding planner, or anybody else out there. Same thing, doesn't matter what industry you're in. Don't sell why you should have flowers at your wedding, just sell how your flowers are different. And so the way that you would sell yourself as opposed to the industry is think about what makes you different. Why are you special? So using the florist example, let's say you only use flowers that are local to your area, or you do all organic, florals, or you do an unusual medium, like you do wood flowers or preserved flowers, something that makes you totally different, that's why somebody would want to work with you as opposed to the next florist down the road. So that's definitely one that I see all the time. Another one is that people talk to everyone on their websites instead of to one person, but your website is creating a one-on-one relationship with you and the person who's reading it at that moment. So I think we all got stuck in this rhythm because of social media, and people pop on Instagram stories and they say like, hey guys, how's everybody doing? But we're not talking to everybody. We're just talking to one person, the person who is reading your site at that moment, deciding, are you the wedding boutique, wedding dress boutique that I want to buy my dress from or not? So the way you get around that mistake, don't talk to everybody, just talk to one person. It's not, yes, the customer is going to understand that they're not the only person who you're working with. You work with other people, but you're trying to build a one-on-one relationship with them. So instead of talking about all couples or how I handle every wedding, talk about, you can say your wedding, your big day, those things you could talk to people about. And then the last one that I hear a lot is people, this kind of goes back to the first one, but people just hide their individuality. They're very focused on saying sort of the right thing. We're affordable, we're approachable, we are unique, we're romantic, whatever it is. But everybody says those things, and everybody is in their own special way. But what I care about and what's going to get your sales across the best is when you embrace that individuality yourself. And so you lead up front with, here's what makes me different. Here's how I'm unique. Here's how I'm special. Couples want to work with you. They want to hire people, not companies. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid to be yourself and put that front and center above. It's called above the fold, but the first part of your website that loads when you load the page, it's a newspaper term that's carried over to the digital world, but above the fold, that's your prime real estate. And that right there across the middle, you should be having some kind of a statement that says like, here's who I am and my unique take. And so those are a lot of things. There are a few more, but those are like the big ones for me that I just find myself saying over and over and over again when I review people's sites.
Yes. So what tips or strategies do you have when people are trying to dig down deep to really discover who they are and how to communicate that value? The tips and pointers seem effortless for you, but like, how do you get to the core of who someone is so that they can write a compelling, copy for their about section?
Yeah, totally. So an easy way to start if you're feeling stuck is to ask other people. And you can actually ask other people, like go and ask a friend or a coworker or a business partner what about you they love and that makes you different. But another easy, great place to look is in your reviews and your testimonials from previous clients. So go load all of those. If you haven't asked for them yet, now's a great time to ask for them because people are looking for easy, inexpensive ways to support small businesses. So go back to previous customers and ask them, would you mind writing me a testimonial? And then look at them all. You can put them in a spreadsheet. That's what I do for my clients. I put them in a spreadsheet and then I find words that are repeated. And those repeated words or phrases are things that I will pull out and I count the number of times. And that shows you what's important to your clients. And then you can use that to get future clients. So if everybody said that your cakes had the most unique flavors, or that they really appreciated that all of your cakes accommodated dietary restrictions like gluten-free and vegan flavors, then that's something that you should be putting front and center on your site. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other things. The about page is one of the most important pages on your website because people want to know about you as it relates to your day. So talking about mistakes, something that I see a lot on about pages is people will say like, I live for coffee, or I'm a friend's like Friends is my favorite show or whatever, and they think that that is a way to add their personality into their website, which is not necessarily the case. I say my trick for adding those things in is only add it if it relates to how the couple will interact with you. So for example, if you love tacos, just saying, my name is Taylor and I love tacos is not really helpful. It's not actually helping you get to know me, except if it relates to the business, like I'm a taco lover. So when we meet up for our wedding planning consultation one-on-one, let's go out for margaritas and meet at my favorite taco place. Something like that to try and tie it back in. Personality is one of those key ingredients I think that every about page should have, and really your whole website should have. That's what a brand voice is. And I would love to do a blog for Wed Society that talks about, I have a list of 7 different key ingredients that every about page should have. We'll put that on the Wed Society blog and people can go sort of follow the formula, if you will. I don't believe in templates, but I do believe in formulas. You need these 7 things to have a really good page.
Awesome. Those are all great pointers and advice, Taylor. So even if we have your 7 key ingredients later in a future blog article, what about the people that are still overwhelmed with this process of writing about themselves and feel like they're still just not hitting the nail on the head? Obviously, they can work with you. Could you tell us just a little bit more about what that process looks like and how sort of the onboarding of your clients, what that looks like and how you work with them?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked, because that is surprisingly a question that I get a lot, not necessarily about working with me, but just what is it like working with a copywriter? I think that's something that not a lot of people have done before, and so they don't really know what exactly is that experience. So obviously I can only talk about myself and what I do, but I would imagine it's very similar with other copywriters who you might hire. So as you mentioned, sort of the key time that you know that you need to hire a professional is if you're feeling overwhelmed. So if you, for example, read my blog post about the 7 key ingredients your about page should have, and it kind of is giving you directions on how to write it yourself, and you try and write it and you're still feeling like, oh, I have spent 5 hours on this thing and I still feel like it is not happening for me, then that's probably a sign that you want to hire a professional, and insert any industry there, whether it's graphic design, website design, whatever. If you try to DIY it and it's still not working for you, then hiring somebody. So when my clients hire me, the first thing that we do is they have homework, and copywriting is not magic. I can't just meet you once and then be able to write as you, because that's really what I'm doing, is I'm pretending that I am you, writing as you. So I need to know you in order to do that. So if you are hiring a copywriter, you should be looking for somebody that has a really strong, like, foundational process. They're interviewing you, they're giving you a questionnaire, they're having you maybe take a personality test, they're calling your previous clients and asking them questions about you. Those are all things that I do for my clients. And then we get into writing. Everybody's process takes a different amount of time. Mine is fairly quick, and it takes me 2 weeks to write an entire website, like 8 pages for somebody, which I've done a lot of research, and that seems to be the fastest by far that I've been able to find. Most people do like 4 weeks, but I only work with one client at a time, which is why it goes so fast for me, because as I mentioned, I'm writing as you. It's really hard to, like, pretend to be 4 different people at once if I had 4 different clients at once, for example. So instead I just shorten the timeline and I work with one client at a time. And then the last step for me, once I go back and forth with my clients, which they get unlimited revisions. So whenever we're done with that, then I will go and implement it on their website. So the whole thing, if you're doing a full website rewrite with me, for example, we would start maybe the week before our 2-week period working together. You would do your homework, I would do my homework. We'd kick off on day 1 with a call to go over your questionnaire, all the things that we talked about together. I spend the whole rest of the first week writing. Then week 2, I give you the copy, you review it, we make as many changes as you want. The end of week 2, I put it up on your site, and that's it.
Awesome. Awesome. Taylor, tell us a little bit about how you started working with wedding creatives. I know that you sort of found your passion, like serving wedding
Yeah,
creatives and writing copy, but maybe just a little bit about your background and kind of how you
yeah,
got immersed in the wedding space.
yeah, totally. As I mentioned, I have a journalism degree. I was a newspaper reporter for several years. I've worked on the marketing side, in-house at marketing agencies, sort of all over like the writing and marketing and websites map. And so when I started my own business, I would write anything for anyone because I have done and can do a wide variety from like emails, newsletters, blogs, websites, ads, the whole thing. But that's a lot of variety. And as I just kind of explained, like I'm really putting myself in the client's shoes when I'm writing those things. And every medium, whether it's an email versus a website versus social media, they all require a different voice, as does each client. And writing for a healthcare company one day and then a finance company the next day and then a wedding vendor the next day. I mean, that's a lot to try and be a chameleon and go between those. So I found myself a little bit exhausted, and I had been encouraged by a few different sources to try and narrow down what my offerings were. And I couldn't really decide because I like variety. But I didn't want too much variety. So I was looking at my previous clients to see like who were my favorite people who I'd loved working with. And they were all event professionals. They had all been working in the wedding industry. And so I just decided like, oh, duh, this is a perfect fit for me because I have enough variety that I'm always, whether I'm working with a photographer one week and the next week is a bridal salon and the next week is a makeup artist. It's enough variety, but all of these people are creative and they're all small businesses. And I've always believed that like, it's not fair that the corporate world gets to afford the talent when really it's the small businesses that can benefit from it quite a lot. So that's kind of how I narrowed down. And then I got engaged myself. And so I was like, this is even more perfect because now I'm really putting myself in the customer's shoes, having gone through the wedding planning experience myself.
Awesome. Yes, congratulations. Fairly newly engaged, right? The wedding has not happened yet.
No, my wedding is in November, which at the time I was like, oh, why do we have to wait so long? Because we got engaged last May. But now
Yeah.
with coronavirus, I'm like, thank goodness that my fiance works in politics, and November post-election was the best time for us. So if we're still dealing with coronavirus by then that's the least, our wedding is the least of our problems.
Yes, truly. I want to touch on one other point because I've heard you talk about it's really important to you that as a wedding vendor community that we're trying to use, inclusive language across our website. And so what do you mean by that? Could you give us some examples and just share a little bit more insight?
Yeah. This is something, so talking about like what makes you different or makes you special, there's a million copywriters out there that you could work with. Some of the things that make me different and make me special, one of them is, like I said, I only work with wedding industry vendors, so I have that industry expertise. Another thing I've talked about is I really care about individuality. And so like, especially in the wedding industry, it's very popular to be, light and airy and feminine and girly, and you like glitter and pink and rose gold and all these things and what's trendy. And that's fine, but I'm a big proponent for being yourself. And sort of a natural extension of that is inclusivity. And so thinking of who are all the people, all the couples out there who want to get married and celebrate their love, who don't fit in that rose gold and glitter box. And that might be for a million reasons. They might be an LGBT couple. Maybe it's two women getting married, or a trans couple, or it could be a straight couple that just are keeping their own last names and kind of bucking sort of traditions and things like that. But regardless, it sort of goes along with like that theme for me of being yourself and catering to people who are themselves. And so in the wedding industry, especially, I think it's really important, if that's something that you care about even a tiny bit, you should be putting that on your website loud and clear. And it's both your words and your images. So it's important, if you want to let people know that you work with diverse couples, then you need photographs that show an LGBT couple and an interracial couple, a Black couple, a white couple, an Asian couple, whatever. all those things. So that's the visual half. In the language, inclusive language can be as simple as stop calling everybody a bride, because you're doing that. You're assuming that the person who is researching you is a woman, and that's not always the case. I mean, my fiance is a man and is very involved in our wedding planning process, and you're excluding him and all the people like him, all the customers who are interested in hiring you when you put that out there. So instead of saying bride, say couple or you. Instead of saying Mr. and Mrs., say, again, couple, your significant other, some of those pieces of language like that. For the people who don't care about it, they won't notice or it won't matter to them. But for the people who do care about it, they will notice, and it will be a make or break moment for you in gaining their trust and them possibly hiring you for their big day. So again, like, just put yourself in the client's shoes and think about, if I was an interracial couple, would I feel welcome looking at your website? If I was a gay couple, would I feel welcome looking at your website? If I'm a man and I'm just a groom, but just a guy, would I feel welcome and talked to? Those are some of my best tips for that.
I think those are all very valid points, and probably overlooked by a lot of us, and need to be a focus and a priority with respect to our copy and our imagery, like you said, as we present our brands online and through social.
Everybody wants to feel included. Everyone I've ever met in my entire life has had at least one experience where they felt like they didn't belong. And pretty much everybody can tell you that that wasn't really fun. They don't really enjoy feeling like they don't belong. And your wedding is a special time when it is all about you. And I'm not going to spend my hard-earned money and most special day with somebody who doesn't appreciate that maybe I don't look like the typical customer or behave like the typical customer.
Awesome. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here, Taylor. Thank you so much. I know we're all sort of homebound right now in the midst of this COVID crisis, but this is very useful information that you've given to our audience today. We look forward to sharing it, and look forward to publishing that blog post that we talked about with your 7 key ingredients to the perfect about page. Just want to thank everybody here at Wed Society for joining us on this Learn episode on copywriting. Be sure to subscribe, to follow Wed Society on Instagram to stay engaged with our community of wedding creatives on the daily. And if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel and enable the notifications so you get up-to-date information on new videos released. Again, thank you, Taylor, for joining us. And we look forward to publishing more of your wisdom online.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Taylor.